Well, good morning and welcome to the final devotion on this series about Gideon and breakthrough and how God uses ordinary people like you and me to achieve great things. The final thing I want to talk about today from the story of Judges is that breakthrough comes in His power and not in ours. After all that had happened in Gideon's life, with all the testing and the trials that he went through, he finally assembled an army of 32,000 men. Now to go into battle. But God came to him and said, look, there's way too many men to fight this battle. Now you've got to remember that the Midianite army was uncountable. There were too many people. They said it was just such a numerous army. God said 32,000 men is too many to fight them. So he said, tell them if they're afraid, they can go home. So Gideon went to his army, these mighty men of valor, and said to them, if you're afraid, you can go home. And 20,000 people went home. Now 22,000 people went home and left him with 10,000 men. And then God said, well, hang on a minute, that's just way too many still. Because I don't want you boasting in your own strength. I want the glory. It's about giving God the glory. So he said, take them down to the lake down there, and those who lap at the water like a dog, you can send them home. Those who drink hand to mouth, keep. 9,700 people drank like a dog. So they went home and left 300 people in his army to fight them with nothing more than a torch and a ram's horn to blow. I mean, what an amazing thing to think they're going to take on this army with 300 blokes. But this is what God does. And that they won. What an incredible victory. Gideon had to go through all these trials and testings and trust exercises to be able to walk in faith, to know that 300 men plus God could get the victory, could defeat any circumstance. He could have gone in with 32,000 men without God and probably lost, and surely would have lost with the number of the army he was going with. He could have gone by himself with God and would have got the victory, because it's all about God. God took an impossible situation and gained the victory for his people. Through Gideon's faithfulness and trust, God got the victory. God will restore what was lost, what is broken and seems hopeless, when we put our unwavering trust in him. Sometimes people achieve great things like this and they forget about God and let ego take over. And we can never get to this place. Judges goes on to talk about how Gideon then defeated other kings and other armies and saved the Israelite nation because he was faithful to God. He went through all these trials and testings and he still was faithful to God. And it says that the Israelites came to him and said, you must rule over us. Your children and your children's children can rule over us. And Gideon, after all these great things, he didn't let his ego be puffed up. He just said, I will never rule over you. That is the job of God. God will rule over you. You see, God created an impossible situation to work with us to set his people free. He does that. In Luke 18:27, it says, what is impossible for man is possible for God. What an incredible truth, that the things in your life that you're really struggling with, that you think are impossible, are not impossible with God. By yourself, maybe, but with God, never. Here's a good lesson for us accomplishing God's purpose. It's not determined by how smart we are, or the size of our vocabulary, or the number of zeros in our pay packet, or our bank accounts. What is important is that God is looking to glorify himself on earth through people who are fully dependent on him, who believe he is with them and are ready to go into battle for him. God doesn't need a majority vote. God doesn't need us at all. God could do it by himself, but he invites us to join him in doing his will. And when we do, we will reap in the benefits and get the glory, and he gets the glory. And that's an important thing. He gets the glory, because when people see you come through your trials and struggles in life, and they will see it, they will notice it. You can tell them that it was God who got you through it, and God will get the glory, and they'll want what you've got. They'll want God. And that's the whole point of what we're meant to be doing. We're meant to be reflecting God to people. Give God the glory. Are you ready to be used today? If you are, make sure you always give God the glory for others to see and want what you have in your life.